All right, this is the ELEET Review Podcast. We have special guests today, Warren Thompson here, Cosmic Wonder. Shout out your other channels like Cosmic Culture, Superhero Central, love them all, man.
All of them.
And yeah, we're bringing them on today. We're going to be just talking about mostly Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man Far From Home, just the MCU Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. We're just going to dive right into those movies here. I just first wanted to ask you, Warren, I guess you've probably been asked this a bit, but like, how did you kind of get into Marvel or YouTube and this whole thing you're doing now?
So I've been into Marvel since I was like, I can't remember how young I was. So I basically grew up on Spider-Man animated series and X-Men animated series. So it's just something I've always kind of been into. And then I read comics. Where I grew up next to, there was a comic shop that was like not too far away. And the owner was really, really cool. I'd pop in every now and then, and he'd just let me read comics. So that's how I kind of got into comics. And as far as getting into YouTube goes, I was like watch videos on YouTube, and my uncle was always like, he would call me after every single Marvel movie asking me what happened. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, I just need to make some videos explaining these for you. And so that's where the idea came from.
Wow.
And before I like actually took initiative on that, I met Star Wars YouTuber The Stupendous Wave. We actually went to church together, and he told me a little bit about YouTube, and I was like, okay. So I started it up, and I guess I started it at the perfect time, right before Avengers Infinity War, and just did videos, and I started to predict. I actually predicted a lot of Infinity War just by theories, not even by like I looked into a lot of things and stuff like that, but I predicted a lot, and I guess people like that. So, and that's really all there is.
Awesome. Yeah, that's how I got into is the Endgame theories. Actually, is kind of when Endgame was first. Even before the trailers were released, I was watching you be like, "Oh, it's gonna come out in a month, and it's gonna come out in Super Bowl and
Oh right,
all
yeah,
that stuff." I was just so Endgame crazy, and then the first trailer came out, and then it's just totally a journey that I've been following since with your channel and everything. So
there you go.
Awesome to have you there doing those videos.
Me too.
Awesome, thanks guys.
Your most correct me if I'm wrong. Is your most like popular video the one where you predicted like Iron Man wearing the armor
vibranium armor? Yeah.
Vibranium.
Yeah,
that's pretty dope. I wish that would have come true.
Yeah, I was gonna say, which I honestly thought was going to happen. It just made so much sense to me. But
did you find that most of your Endgame predictions were right, or do you think they were mostly like kind of right, or any rumors you heard that totally came true or not?
It's funny because I actually have sources, and I don't state them a lot. I don't like to be the scooper. I just like to kind of talk about what everybody else is talking about, and I'll let them scoop. Therefore, if they're wrong, then they can get all the heat, and I can say, well, hey, they reported it, right? But I would say I was like 40% right with a lot of the theories that I said. It wasn't like Infinity War. Infinity War, I would say it was like 90% right. Like I literally called how Thor was going to make Stormbreaker. Groot was going to reach in, and then he was going to chop his arm off. Like I literally called it. And that was actually the first video that I ever did that I think did over like 100K. Ultimately did like 500K, but it was like right when I started. And I just remember I was sitting there, and my buddy Chris, who edits my videos, he was like, hey, this video has like, it just gained like 5,000 views. I'm like, oh, really? Jeez. And we checked in like 10 minutes, and he's like, it just gained like 5,000 more views. And so little note to me at the time, it got picked up in the algorithm, and it just kind of like, it went.
Awesome. That's so cool.
Oh, that's awesome, dude.
That's so cool, man. Did you ever think the Thor and Captain Marvel getting together thing was going to ever happen, or were you like, that's BS?
I originally, because I didn't know how they were going to make Captain Marvel's character, I said I wouldn't mind if they got together. Yeah. But now I don't want that.
Yeah, it would be weird.
Yeah, I didn't mind in the beginning. I said I was like, if they got together, I'd totally be okay with it. Like, this is cool. They're two super powerful beings. And like the banter between them was pretty good. Like in the little brief clips that we saw before the movie came out, before Captain Marvel came out. So I don't think I predicted it, but I said, if it happens, I'd be okay with it.
I 100% thought they were going to do like their own little journey in Endgame together because they're so powerful and everything, but totally took a
Right.
different turn.
Yeah, yeah.
I never thought they were good together too much. I never wanted to see that too much, but
Yeah, that was just some hardcore fan fiction right there.
Well, I'm happy with what they're doing now because I love Natalie Portman, and I was like, where the heck did Jane go? And they're bringing her back now. She's going to be a version of Thor, and I think that's a really good pairing because especially after Thor, like Fat Thor, like cried in Endgame. He said, "We're not even together anymore." Like, so
do you think, yeah. Do you think he's going to lose all the weight?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be hard.
Were you a big fan of the whole Thorbowski thing? Because I know it's controversial.
I thought it was funny, and I thought, and Chris Hemsworth fought against this. I thought when he summoned his hammers at the end, he was going to get back in shape, and the Russo brothers wanted to do that originally, and Chris Hemsworth said, "No, keep me fat."
Really?
Yeah,
I did not know that.
Yep.
I thought he was going to get skinnier too.
I thought it was for sure. Yeah.
Got the lightning. His hair magically braids itself, and he's not skinny.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. But Chris Hemsworth said, "Nope, keep me
Interesting.
fat."
Interesting.
Yeah, the Russo brothers totally. Because I guess like it just makes sense, right? He's a god, and like I don't know. It. This is like the science fiction that we make up in our head combined with real life, but like I don't know how many pounds he had to lose, but it's like you burn 2,000 calories. That's a pound. I'm sure lightning bolt can burn some calories. So like, I'm sure he could. I'm sure like it would have just like no one would have fought it, right? I don't think if they were like, oh yeah, now he's skinny. Like I don't think they would have been like, no, that doesn't make any sense. Like I'm sure some people would, but I don't think a lot of people.
And it's just Marvel.
Right.
Yeah. No, definitely. And the random question: you think the Guardians? It's confirmed, right? Guardians are going to show up a little bit in Thor 4.
Yeah,
he's going to show up in their movie a little bit, maybe.
Yeah,
I'm excited for that. I like their little banter.
Yeah, and it makes sense because the last time we saw them, they were all together. So if we're going to start off with Thor: Love and Thunder, which it's before Guardians, then you got to show what happened. Fans are going to want to know.
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, before we dive in, one more question for you. Which MCU Disney Plus show are you most excited for that they just announced at Investor Day?
Man, I was and I can't say I'm not still excited for it.
Yeah.
I was really, really, really like WandaVision was my most anticipated one. And I'm still super excited for it. But I've seen the Loki trailer. I'm like, wow, I think this show is actually going to be like pretty fantastic. Yeah. So I think I'm most excited for that right now. Mostly because I have like no idea what's going to happen with it. I think I have a pretty good idea of what's going to happen with WandaVision, relatively, but I think Loki's going to be like some twists and turns that we're not expecting. That I think will be really cool.
Yeah, that was same here. Like Loki was like, I was like, Falcon Winter Soldier, WandaVision, but then I saw that trailer and Loki just pushed it like.
It was really cool.
That looks amazing. Do you think WandaVision will obviously play a big role in Spider-Man 3? You think so? Or at least jumpstart something in Spider-Man 3 with this whole thing?
Yeah, I think actually it's going to jumpstart something in like the entire MCU. Mm-hmm. And I think with the original order that they were going to release everything, like Falcon and Winter Soldier was supposed to be first. WandaVision was actually not supposed to come for like a year later. So I think that the shows that were supposed to premiere before aren't going to be really affected by what happens. But the shows that premiere after are all going to start to see kind of the effect of whatever may happen, whether she's breaking realities and causing them to fuse into one, which is what I think. I think realities are going to start to fuse together. I don't think Strange is like pulling people from different realities. I think realities are colliding, and that will eventually lead to secret wars in like 10 years, because that is the premise for it.
Yeah.
I think Spider-Man's going to be the first movie where we see serious repercussions of it.
Interesting. So you're thinking like Toby, Andrew, they're going to show up in Tom Holland's MCU universe, but it's not going to be like Doctor Strange pulling them from there.
I mean, very well could be.
Yeah.
But I think if I were to write it, it would be universes colliding. Like because if you think about JJJ is there at the end of Far From Home, and it's the same JJJ, so it's kind of like, why are you the same one, right? Like, and Marvel knows what they're doing, so it's like you didn't just do that on accident, but how did you get there, right? So maybe after the snap, maybe the snap happens in a few different realities, but when people come back, maybe they're a little misplaced in the reality that they're supposed to be in.
Interesting. So you think the snap could be the reason that maybe puts Dr. Rock and all these people in Tom's universe?
I think it could be. I think they could go that way. I want to say that just like the snap and then Wanda combined kind of start to fuse the different universes together.
I would like that.
I think
Me too. It will be awesome. So favorite Spider-Man of yours? Who's your favorite?
Tobey Maguire.
Tobey Maguire. Awesome.
First one I ever saw in theaters. I can't remember how old I was. I think I was probably like 12 when the first one came out. And it was just like the coolest thing ever. Like the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
And it was funny because like I said, I grew up on Spider-Man animated series and X-Men animated series. And those were like the first two comic book movies to come out. Like the X-Men and Spider-Man. So it was like super cool time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Which one's your favorite out of the trilogy there? That's Tobey's.
It's hard to beat the train scene in number 2, but I kind of like number 3 just because of Venom, Eddie Brock, Harry Osborn. Like there's a lot to it. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I don't know. When I was that age watching it and I wasn't like a cynical person trying to pick everything apart, it was awesome.
Agreed.
So I think the third one's my favorite, which is ironic that we're now getting all these other ones in Spider-Man 3.
Spider-Man 3.
Yeah.
Crazy. Awesome. Cool. Well, my last question before talking about Homecoming and Far From Home is I was just wanting to see, we don't have to spend a lot of time on this either, but I mean, is there any big rumors lately you've heard about Spider-Man 3 or anything that you're like, oh, whoa, I'm hearing stuff that's kind of crazy, or anything new? Because I know we've heard like, Doc Ock's coming.
Yeah. There's gonna be like 8 villains.
Really?
There's gonna be there's gonna be some villains that
like Sinister Six or like 8.
So okay, I'll say it on here, and I haven't said it anywhere. It's gonna be a multiverse Sinister Six. So not everyone in the Sinister Six is going to be from the main universe. And they're going to be villains outside of the Sinister Six as well. So
That's pretty smart.
It's cool. Yeah. And that's why you got Electro, Doc Ock, like different characters from different universes going to create a Sinister Six, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But there are going to be more villains than that.
Wow. So who do you think will be from Tom's? Do you think it's gonna be like Mysterio, Vulture, just all that we've seen so far?
So I just want to say that I don't think Mysterio's dead. I've never thought Mysterio was dead.
I never thought it either. Me neither.
Okay.
Yeah, he didn't ask the right question. He did not ask the right question. He was just like, the illusion's down, which is the wrong question, Peter. Wrong question for you.
Yep. And that's like, to me, I'm like, okay, that's like so specifically worded. Like, you know what I mean? So I was like, so from his, I just think the way we've seen Morbius go, like with Vulture and that, and it's not one, it's Murderer on the Wall on his name, which is the Sam Raimi Spider-Man, by the way, which is Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. That painting of Spider-Man on the wall, it's the Sam Raimi Spider-Man. So again, universes are kind of colliding here, and we don't really know 100% what's happening, but I definitely think like Vulture is going to be one of them. Maybe Scorpion, since he was in Far From Home, he's been involved. Or I meant Chameleon, and then Scorpion was in the first one. But it's really funny. At one time, Sony executive said that all the characters that they have in the SPUMC, they have the characters to do the Sinister Six. She said that before we got all the multiverse rumors.
Yeah, I've seen that clip,
yeah. So it's interesting.
Definitely.
Because I can say this too, what I know is it was originally supposed to be a simple film, but Sony wanted to go bigger. And then it became a Spider-Verse film.
Kevin Feige agreed to it, I guess.
Yeah, you never really know what the terms of the new contracts were for Tom Holland, you know? Hey, we kind of get, so Sony could probably say, hey, we get a little bit more pull now with the direction of the videos if you want to keep Tom in the MCU. And Feige might have said, that's fine, but there's certain things that, we won't budge on, blah, 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 blah. So, you never really know, but I've heard Sony pushed for bigger, and I guess they found a way to make it work, and they said, okay. And I'm pretty sure that way to make it work was they went, hey, Andrew, hey, Toby, would you come back? And they went, yeah, sure. And they're like, okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
And I bet part of that agreement might be to be like, hey, we need Tom in the next Avengers movie, or we need him in our Avengers crossover.
Oh, for sure.
Deadpool 3, whatever.
Right, yeah, exactly.
My random question is, I know Tom signed on for another appearance in the MCU. Do you think that's Doctor Strange 2, or what movie you think that's going to be? The next Avengers, or?
No, because, well, it's funny because he signed on for another solo movie and another team film. So it's kind of like, okay, is Spider-Man 3 the solo movie?
Or the team, yeah.
Or the team film, because it's so big right now. And you want to say it's the solo movie because they're not going to release another Spider-Man for another probably 2 years again. And they'll have, in theory, an Avengers film before that, or some group team up film before that. So I'm going to say Spider-Man 3 is still his solo movie. And I've heard that it is still about him. Just like Into the Spider-Verse was still primarily about Miles Morales.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say that's the solo film. And then whatever the new Avengers film is, he's going to be in. He could lead the Young Avengers too. You never really know.
That's true. Yeah, there's definitely, I think, some Young Avengers about to happen here with everything they're announcing, obviously. Yeah, cool. Sure. Awesome stuff. Okay, well, first question, Homecoming or Far From Home? What's your pick?
Far From Home.
Far From Home. What about you, Aiden?
I think I enjoy Homecoming a bit more, but I think Far From Home might be a better movie.
Fair.
It's like 100% how I feel. Like I prefer to watch Homecoming, but I think Far From Home is just so much like more mature and like more impactful, more part of the MCU after Endgame. It's just like,
to me, it's the villain that separates it for me.
Oh yeah,
I think Mysterio is just so awesome, and the way he does everything, and
definitely.
It's cool how like he actually doesn't really have any powers. He's just an illusionist. And Vulture, and it's not like specifically Michael Keaton, because I actually really, really like Michael Keaton, and I think he's a very menacing villain. But I've never been like a huge fan of Vulture as like a villain. So maybe that's why I didn't. Mm-hmm. That's why like the villain makes the difference for me. So that's why I choose Far From Home, because I think Mysterio is just like so cool. Jake Gyllenhaal's perfect. Again, Michael Keaton's very menacing as a villain. He does a really good job, especially when he's dropping them off at a dance and he like keeps Peter in the car. It's kind of like, that's great. That was everyone's fear when we were younger and we met like the girl's parents. It's like, and then it turns out to be like, oh, he's actually like the bad guy. And it's like, okay, that's cool. And Michael Keaton did a really good job at that.
Yeah, and I love Peter, how uncomfortable he looks like taking pictures at the house, and just like he just can't put a smile on his face. Oh, right, it's terrible.
Me uncomfortable.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad movie by any means. I just think
the
villain makes Far From Home more enjoyable for me.
Cool. I think I agree. Yeah, because growing up, like Mysterio was the cool thing in Spider-Man games and everything, and Vulture was like this old guy, kind of like bald and stuff. I was like, this guy's kind of weird. But I think Michael Keaton's the coolest Vulture I've seen so far. So.
Oh, as far as like who could have played him, it's excellent. Like I said, I really like Michael Keaton. I just think Mysterio's a cooler villain.
Definitely. Cool. Okay, well, I was just thinking we could all rank the Homecoming plot, scale 1 to 10. You want to start first, Warren?
As far as plot's concerned, I actually really like the plot. I like how they threw Iron Man in there, and they have that really, really iconic line where, if you're nothing without the suit, you don't deserve the suit, or you shouldn't have the suit, right? That's really cool. And that's a really big breaking Spider-Man Peter Parker moment. And again, how they weaved it into like, oh, like the villain's the dad of the girl that I like. I think it's very clever. So I'd give it like an 8.
Nice. Same here. I gave it an 8. What about you, Aiden?
You know, I don't have many problems with the plot.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 9.
Hey.
Awesome.
Because I can't think of anything that really like makes me not like it.
Yeah.
Basically, like every single scene.
Yeah,
It's a great movie.
good stuff.
And
Yeah.
the reason I only give it an 8 is because I give movies like Infinity War a 10, right? So
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah, I can't do movies at 10. It's too hard.
Yeah, it's really hard.
But like if I'm
Anyways.
ranking this next gen Avengers movie, yeah, I'll put it down to like a 8 or a 7.
Mhm.
But just on its own, I'm gonna give it a 9.
Gotcha.
Nice. I know this is a problem I see with tons of people who are like Raimi fans or Andrew fans even, where they say Tom's Spider-Man is very like connected to Iron Man and the
Dependent.
MCU and stuff. So I
Yeah.
guess, do you agree with that personally? Like, are you like, oh, Tom should have more of his like flying, swinging through New York City, classic Spider-Man stuff? Or are you like, no, he's pretty good for what he does in the MCU? Or how do you feel about that?
I've never felt that way. And I think it's because I don't mind different versions. I think when you're a director and you sit down and you look at the Spider-Man that have already been done, the 5 films before, 6 if you count Into the Spider-Verse, and then you have old animated. Well, you have animated series, and then you also have Japanese Spider-Man and the original live action Spider-Man. I think when you're a director and you look at those things and you think, how are we going to differentiate this Spider-Man, but keep some of his essence in there? I think they did a pretty good job. Yeah, there's not as many swinging around the city and stuff like that, but like Aiden said, I can't really find like things in the story that I don't like, and there's still like really, really, really cool scenes. And then you have to like also kind of realize that he's still kind of figuring it out in Homecoming. So it's like, I don't know, if I'm Spider-Man and I'm figuring it out, I'm probably not like swinging off of 50-story buildings because I'm scared for my life still. So I don't know. I think there's a type of realism to it that I can appreciate. And I can also appreciate them not trying to be the same old Spider-Man that everybody else is. So
yeah,
100%.
I mean, that's why I love the Washington Monument scene where he gets super high and he's terrified. He's never been that high before.
Yeah, exactly.
High school.
Exactly.
16.
And that's the cool thing actually about Tom Holland Spider-Man is he's like Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. It's like they're filming these movies. I'm like, I know your guys aren't 16 years old, 17, 18 years old, right?
Yeah.
Like I know you guys aren't teenagers. So it's like in my mind, I don't see their Peter Parkers as teenagers, but I see Tom Holland's Peter Parker as a teenager.
100%.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, and I mean, I love the Iron Man connection. I think that's the perfect 2 people to do have like a mentor apprentice role.
Yeah.
Which led so well into Infinity War and Endgame as well for me. I love that Doctor Strange will kind of be his mentor role in this movie too, because I was like, when Spider-Man 3 was announced and everything, I was like, I would love if he crossed over into Doctor Strange's like Sanctorum or have Doctor Strange in the movie. So I was so happy when they announced like Benedict will be in that movie. So
yeah, it's good, especially because it's like so seamless. They're both in New York. They had that run-in and Infinity War.
Exactly.
So it just works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. The dialogue scale of 1 to 10, just like kind of the script and the lines, the funny.
We're still talking about Homecoming.
Yeah, still Homecoming. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think it was pretty good. I don't think it was like the most fantastic dialogue ever. Yeah. So I'll probably go with a 7 on this. There are a lot of cool things like instant kill mode when he's like, talking to AI about all that stuff like that. And then the dialogue with Iron Man, the dialogue with Vulture, like there's a lot of really good dialogue. And the setup for Vulture in the beginning was really, really cool too. Collecting all the parts and stuff like that. So yeah, it was pretty good. Like 7.5.
Nice. Yeah. What about you, Aiden?
I'm gonna give it an 8, basically just for the same reasons. I mean, it wasn't anything like amazing. But yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah, me too. I give it an 8. I think it's got great amount of humor. Probably the humor makes half of that for me, because I think John Watts is good at writing like good humor for Tom Holland and Ned, and
he is
teen humor.
Yeah, good teen humor and everything. So yeah, with you there. Contribution to the MCU. You feel like this contributed much, or is this like it's just its own little thing in the MCU?
Nah, I don't think it contributed much.
Yeah,
and especially if you think, especially if from what I've heard of the Sony Marvel deal, Sony Disney deal, the SPUMC, Sony Pictures Universe Marvel characters, if what I've heard is true, then all these characters can only ever appear in Spider-Man films. Vulture, like all these characters are going to cross over into Sony's other films. They can only ever appear in Spider-Man films. So they like exist in the MCU as long as they're in a Spider-Man film. So like you're not going to see other heroes take on any of these other Spider-Man characters, which like they're Spider-Man characters. So who cares, right? We don't want to see other people take them on. And I don't think the only thing I would say it affected is Peter clearly had like a big impact on Tony. And I think it might have like being in that mentor role, that father figure role might have put him in the state to like want to settle down with Pepper and have kids. And that's how I think it probably affected the MCU the biggest way.
Yeah.
Because then I think him losing him led to the Tony that we got in Endgame, the settled down Tony who didn't want to risk anything because of his daughter, because of his wife. I think that is the byproduct of him mentoring Peter Parker.
Mm-hmm.
Well said. Well said. What about you,
I kind of 100% agree with all of that.
Kind of 100%. Yeah. Yeah, me too. I mean, if I put it on a scale, I put like about a 5, maybe a 6, but it doesn't.
I'd give it a 6.
Yeah.
5, yeah.
Yeah, I'd give it the same.
Yeah. Cool. And then I guess just the characters in this movie, how do you feel about them? Like, think they're at their prime here? I think that's like, it's a good introduction. Including the villains, including Prowler. I mean, everybody who's just in it.
As far as Peter Parker is concerned, it was good. I didn't really care for any of like the villains, just to be honest. Like Shocker, like didn't really have that big of a role. Kind of had like a little bit of role. Again, I'm not the biggest Vulture fan. I'm more of like in the film. I'm more of a Michael Keaton fan of how he was as a person and not as Vulture. Like I think it was really good. You know, MJ wasn't that big of a part of it. Ned had some good ones, you know, when he's like, I'm looking at porn, you know, like he had some good, you know, there was some good funny moments like that too. So I think as far as I think as far as intro to Aunt May, Peter Parker, Ned go, it was really good. I think it was good talking about what Aiden was, you know, talking about like it was, you know, when you're first starting off, I think they did a good job at like showing that like he's not like he just got the suit from Tony and it's got new stuff to it. And, you know, he was in Civil War with now it's kind of his like little intro. Now it's kind of like he's more on his own, not fighting with Tony. He's just kind of doing things on his own, trying to figure it out. I think that was good. As far as like the villain, I don't know. I just really wasn't impressed with Vulture being a villain. Again, I was more impressed with Michael Keaton.
That totally makes sense because he's just great himself.
Yeah.
What about you, Aiden?
Yeah, I don't know. Mostly, I almost liked every single character. Can agree, Shocker didn't do much for the story. I think MJ's a lot better in Far From Home.
100%.
I feel like her personality changes a lot too.
It does.
Yeah. I feel like she has more time.
Yeah.
Well, because I mean,
they want them to get together.
Right. She's not really his love interest in the first one.
No.
Right. She's kind of just there. And that's why I didn't like throw her in there with like Ned and Peter Parker and stuff like that, because she's just kind of there. And granted, it's by design, but I just enjoyed it much more in Far From Home.
Me too.
Yeah, for sure. Man, I love Vulture. I think he was a great villain.
He is. Yeah.
That's the cool thing is everybody connects differently to, you know, different movies. So it's really cool.
It's dope.
Yeah. I do think that I might like Mysterio a little bit more, but I do love Vulture in this movie. I love Tony, you know. Liz was okay. Ned was great.
100%.
Yeah. I don't know. I like my characters.
It's always interesting to hear about Spider-Man films because it's like, you know, I was talking to the YouTuber Soups and his favorite Spider-Man's Andrew Garfield. And a lot of people don't like Andrew Garfield.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
My brother-in-law loves Spider-Man, his favorite character. Hates Tom Holland Spider-Man. And then it's like, oh, there's so many people that love Tom Holland Spider-Man and love his movies, you know. And it's just funny. I don't know if I've ever seen such like a division with a character.
Right.
I don't think I have either. Like the closest would be like the Star Wars movies, if you want to compare, like with divisiveness.
Yeah.
But man, yeah, with a character, I'd say same thing. It's insane how many people love Toby, love Andrew, love Tom, or hate all of them, or hate some of them. It's insane. I think the one everyone agrees on is Spider-Man PS4. Everybody loves that Peter Parker.
Yes.
There's a face, but the original face and everything perfect. Okay, cool. I think the one character that I would say is kind of cool is Childish Gambino showing up.
Hey,
that's pretty dope.
Donald Glover.
He didn't show up in Far From Home. I was really hoping he would, but he just made his little appearance, and I love seeing him with anything just because I love him in Community, you know. So
I love Community, but it is awesome that it is set up for Spider-Man 3 if they want to bring Miles, because that, you know, his existence is existence of Miles.
Yeah. I think Miles will 100% be showing up here pretty soon. I don't know if it'll be in the MCU though, but that'd be cool.
Yeah, who knows?
Cool. Okay, well, let's move on to Far From Home now. We'll dive right into that one. So I think we'll just go over kind of same questions, but the plot. How you feeling about the plot of Far From Home?
I liked it. When you pick up from Endgame, and spoiler alert, Tony dies. in case no one knows yet.
Better put a spoiler warning on this tag here.
Yeah. And you, when you look at the relationship that they've built over a few movies, and you look at the effect that they both had on each other, I think they did a really good job of picking up after that of Peter, you're on your own now. Like, yeah, Peter had Happy and he had like Nick Fury in them, but for the most part, he was on his own. Happy gave him that pep talk at the end, which is like the good connection between, Iron Man and him. Happy's like that good median.
Yeah.
Because he was close, Tony's, but one of Tony's best friends, and looked after Peter and Homecoming kind of. He talked to him, on the phone, which, side note, Megan Yorn, Thor's belt, we never saw that again.
Yeah.
Thought that was for sure coming somewhere.
Right? Yep, because he mentions it and everything, but
he does, yeah.
Chilling somewhere. Wait. Do you think it's at Avengers base and now it's destroyed because of Thanos' attack? Because that would be insane.
Maybe. I don't think it's destroyed. I think it's probably made of, maybe not Uru, but
maybe it's under a bunch of rubble.
Yeah, I think maybe that was a director call, and then as you move forward and because all movies are connected, right? Other people either forgot about it or were just like, we're just gonna put that back.
Could have been like an Easter egg, maybe.
Right? Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So, anyways, jumping back to it, I think they did a good job. And then when you lose a mentor, you typically seek another one, and Mysterio was that guy. And so, for us people who do YouTube, watch YouTube videos, read comics, know storylines, we're all like, we know Mysterio's bad. But it was still cool for them to kind of make us believe that maybe for a second he could actually be good. And maybe he is from a different universe. And maybe that Mysterio is good from a different universe, right? And then all of a sudden it's like, nope, he's actually not from a different universe. He's just faking it. He was just really, really clever. He is the master of illusions. While at the same time, MJ's like, you're Spider-Man? Yeah, I know. Like, and there's a little bickering between Ned and MJ because now they both know, and he's overseas and he's fighting these things that he's just like way overwhelmed with. So to get over that, to get hit by like a train and stuff like that, and kind of get over that while dealing with Tony's absence and stuff. And while, again, going back to I'm a high school kid and I just like, I know I'm a superhero, but I really like this girl. I like that a lot too, because I think we've all been there where we really like someone and not a lot matters, even if the stake of the world's, at Jeopardy. I think it was really good as far as it's concerned. I'd probably, just because again, it's like hard for me to give someone a 10. I'd probably give it a 9.
Me too. Me too. What about you, Aiden?
Yeah, for sure. I'm 9 too.
9.
I love the teenage humor again.
Yeah.
I think it's even better in
And-
this one. Yeah, in my opinion. Yeah.
Well,
right?
because
I think
he,
it's better.
yeah. Sorry to interrupt.
It's okay. Yeah, and I love like the whole like I even love all the stuff before Mysterio even shows up. I just have a super fun time with it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for real, dude. Like the plane
Yeah.
and getting to Europe and the
Yeah.
fun music and Flash just trying to live stream everything. It's just
Yeah,
lot of-
it's funny.
just make the characters way funnier in this one, I think.
Nick Fury showing up in his hotel, shooting Ned.
Right.
Yeah,
I
it was,
don't know if it. Yeah. No, go ahead.
I was just saying it was good.
Yeah, it's good.
Good movie.
I don't know if it's just me, but man, Nick Fury, I was really hoping was. I wish that was Nick Fury. Like by the time at the end when they revealed that was a scroll, Talos
Right,
or whatever, I was like, oh, I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I guess that's okay. But I wish
now
that
when
was
I
Nick Fury.
rewatch it, I can like tell that it's a scroll. Like
Yeah,
it doesn't act exactly like Nick Fury.
it does make sense by the end. You're like, that doesn't seem kind of like Nick Fury with his personality.
Uh-huh.
But it
Yeah.
does seem like Sam Jackson, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, dialogue. 1 to 10.
I think it's good. Because I like I like how Mysterio is just so cool with him and telling him to go get the girl. Like, what do you want to,
Right.
And then all of a sudden it's like, oh man, I kind of liked you, but now I gotta kill you. And then by the end, it's like, I hate you.
Uh-huh.
Because I hate Tony Stark and you're little Tony Stark and you messed with me and I've tried to kill you. Now I really, really have to try to kill you. Probably a 9 again. Yeah. We'll lock that in.
Nice. What about you, Aiden?
I could maybe give it a 9. I don't know what it is with this scene, but after Mysterio like gets the glasses and he goes into the other room and they're like all toasting people.
Yeah.
I find it I'm not a huge fan when the movie like does all the stuff just to tell you the story.
Like the
I feel like
Gotcha.
yeah.
because he's basically
Yeah.
just telling the camera what happened in the story of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish
felt that way a
was
little bit too.
Subtle maybe,
Yeah.
and not so just in your face that whole scene. So I found that a bit off, but besides that, I think everything else was pretty great.
Nice. I think I give this dialogue a 9.5. Not quite a 10, but I'm mostly thinking, I guess, humor and probably more of those little quips and script lines, just those one-liners. I just love so much of them. Like Nick Fury's whole talk to Peter in that little apartment's great.
Yeah.
When he gives him like kind of that like he's mad at him talk, and I love all the Peter and MJ, all of their dialogue to me is great. Same with him and
it's
his
always good.
girlfriend. It's just like so much fun. Like I just have so much fun watching it. Just makes me happy.
It is a really fun movie.
It's a fun movie.
So fun. Contribution to the MCU. How do I feel in this contribution? Would you say the same thing maybe?
I kind of do. Yeah, I kind of do. I don't think it was a coincidence or unintentional that they mentioned the multiverse in the first one. I think they probably kind of knew the direction they wanted to go. And it was one of those things. It was kind of like, we're going to put it in there and hopefully everything works out. And if not, whatever, we said it was fake, but everything's working out. And now we have the multiverse. And of course, when you think of Marvel as a whole, the MCU knew the direction it was going to take, Multiverse of Madness, WandaVision, they knew all that. But that's kind of existing within it. So I don't think it contributes much to it. I don't know. It's very much a Peter Parker story. It doesn't really affect anybody else.
Mhm.
So I mean, I don't know. A five.
Awesome. What about you, Aiden?
I'd maybe give a 6, just because you get to see what happens after the blip,
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
all
Yeah.
that stuff, and then later in the movie you get to see the scrolls. Like you get to see how Nick
That's true,
Fury
too.
was scrolls all the time, and then it sets up that next Secret Invasion, I think it's called.
Yeah,
If they want
the
if they
Disney
want,
Plus show coming. Yeah, with
Yeah.
Sam Jackson and Talos.
and
So
sword,
I'm gonna
a
give
sword
that,
up there.
yeah, 6.
I would change my answer to a 6 too, because I didn't even think about those. That's really good points.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we can be agreed there. I mean, maybe I'll go 7, maybe. I don't know. I think it has quite a bit more contribution, I think, for the future than we can think, because like we're still seeing the implications of Tony Stark dead and how the world is needing something like Mysterio or, Avengers, or what do you call those guys? The Thunderbolts, which I think are totally going to come. I think it'll pave a big way for Thunderbolts and probably a lot of things that were slight little teases in this movie, but we'll see what happens, obviously.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
Seems like Spider-Man 3 isn't really going to do a whole lot with this movie besides Peter being on the run at the beginning. But besides that, I don't know.
Well, I think Spider-Man 3 is definitely going to have the most impact out of all the movies in the MCU. Like 100%.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, next, just the characters in this movie. Do you feel like they're better than Homecoming? Like, I guess their acting and their just how they are in this movie, or the new Mysterio, everything
I
like
do.
that?
Ned with his relationship is funny, and his interactions with Tom are still really, really good. And Zendaya's a lot more in it. So MJ and the Peter thing, it's really funny to see him be in that like puppy love state. And out of all the things he's been through, he's like just really concerned about the girl. And I like that. And, she's into him and she's so clever. He's like, I am Spider-Man. It's like, and then she was like, oh my gosh, I was only like 90% sure. So she like still freaks out when she finds out. That was pretty good. And then Mysterio, I think this is awesome. I think Jake Gyllenhaal crushed it. I think Happy and Peter's parts together were really good because they're both mourning the same thing, the loss of Tony Stark. And Happy definitely probably feels like it's his responsibility, to take care of Peter. I think that was really good.
Yeah.
It was funny to see Shield/Sword kind of step in. Like it wasn't really Hill and Fury, but they were still involved.
Yeah.
And that was cool too. And it was cool to see them, like I already knew before the movie came out, but it was cool to see them, they were Skrull the whole entire time.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I agree with the whole Happy thing. Yeah, I think Happy was a much bigger character in this and everything. But what about you, Aiden? How do you feel?
The teachers, they're such
Oh, yeah.
teachers. It's
Yeah.
really funny. I love how Nick Fury's in this, and Happy. I didn't bring up earlier. I'll just kind of bring it up right now. The whole spider sense, or the
Spider tingle.
Peter tingle thing. Like, what was with that? They didn't really give an explanation for that, so it kind of bugged me.
I think it's just supposed to be he's feeling off a little bit from being in all these Infinity War and Endgame events, and Tony Stark dying, that he's just not at his prime.
I mean,
That's what I can assume. It's not the best explanation, but
Yeah,
I think it's a
thought
spider sense, but they just tried to go a different route with it. Because again, this is, kind of the first Spider-Man where you don't see his origin.
yeah.
You don't see a spider bite. So just trying to switch it up a little bit, That's all I really think that was. A lot of people were like, what? I think there's some things that like you could get away with changing, and some things you just leave it. Like there's no point. Just leave it.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Back to the characters. I find it very interesting how, Peter didn't like MJ at all in the first movie, and all of a sudden at the beginning of this movie, in the first scene, he's like obsessed with her.
Yep.
So
Yep. You're kind of right about that.
Yeah, but that's a teenage boy.
It's true.
That's true.
It's like his girl moved away
those
that he was into, so he's like, time for the next one.
Yep.
Basically, is what he's like.
And
Yeah.
I love Happy and Aunt May dating. Thought that was pretty funny.
Oh yeah.
So
That was
funny.
So good. And
So
the way
good.
it ended.
Even at me, I like her a lot in this movie, man. I think I love how she's talking about like how she flipped back and everything like that.
Yeah.
I like that they made her
And-
snapped.
Oh yeah, same.
Yeah.
We get Jay Jonah from the old movies,
Yep.
and
That was
I
amazing.
absolutely loved that. I was shocked in theaters, but
Yeah.
that was so awesome. And
It
then yeah,
was.
everything used to Warren. Besides that, I don't have much to say. I would yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Jay Jonah, that like J.K. Simmons is gonna be in like Morbius and Venom and Spider-Man 3 and everything, right?
Is he?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I
Yeah,
think
there's
so.
in one of the, I don't know if it's a leaked photo or like an official release photo from Morbius. There's a bus, and on the like the advertisement on the bus is the Daily Bugle. And it's like the
that's awesome.
same print and font and everything that the Daily Bugle was like showing in Far From Home. And so that was like the first hint of the multiverse, because it was like, well, hey, there's a Spider-Man, on the wall there. And then you have J. Jonah Jameson existing in that universe too. So there's definitely a crossover there. But yeah, he's going to be in those, which is going to be really cool.
That'll be awesome. Yeah,
J.K.
that's all I need really is him to show up.
Yeah,
It's my favorite part of the Toby ones is like J.K. Simmons. I love J.K. Simmons and everything.
He's my favorite character in those, actually.
Yeah, he's fantastic. I think I mean, one question I forgot to ask, but we can just talk about it now, is I guess just kind of the look of the movie, kind of like the scenes and the scenery we're at, Europe and Mysterio's illusions and everything. I mean, visually, what do you think about it?
Oh, I think visually it's a very satisfying movie. When the trailer came out, I was like, and you watched Mysterio, do his illusions where they had like the triangles and the green. It almost looked like Doctor Strange. It really did. And a lot of people were like, coming up with all these theories saying it's like, oh, it is. No, it's not like an illusion. It's Mysterio knows magic now somehow. Like, look at these things. They look just like Doctor Strange, but it was cool because Mysterio designed it that way. Like, he designed it that way, right? Because he's the master of illusions. He had to make it look real. So the elementals look super cool. I'm trying to think of just like any other scenes. A lot of it was really cool. All the action scenes are very good. And I think just the other, I don't want to call them fillers because they're really funny and they serve good points, but like one on the plane, one on the bus. Oh yeah, even with like the drones and everything, like when he gets Edith, like I think it was really good. It was very good.
Me too.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm gonna say I love how they're in Europe. I love that whole scenery stuff, but I do kind of wish that we had more New York Spider-Man. And I do wish that we had more web swinging scenes, but I assume we'll get that later on in the future. A lot more. At least I hope so.
Yeah, me too. I hope we see him in college pretty soon here. Like, I would love to see Tom Holland going to college as Spider-Man. That would be pretty fantastic.
Well, there are rumors of a new deal that was been made, and from what I've heard, it could be for another 3 movies, and that would definitely take him into his college years. So that would
like
be
3
really
Spider-Man solo movies?
I just heard 3 movies.
Just
so
3
I don't
movies.
really know.
Interesting. Yeah, I wonder how far they'd go, like Spider-Man 8, Spider-Man 9, or something. That'd be absolutely crazy.
That would be pretty crazy.
Yeah. I think the looks are pretty amazing, honestly. I give him like freaking 9.5. I love all the Europe scenes. I love his new suit that he makes. I love the scene where he's using Tony's
that's really cool
tech
too
to make it.
Mm-hmm.
I just love when he's awesome. Swinging like the drones around and they're exploding, and he picks up like kind of like Thor's hammer, but it's like
I think Chap's shield too. Yeah, that was really good.
It's just all looks so good.
And when he's caught in Mysterio's illusions, that's really cool. Zombie Iron Man and stuff like that.
I forgot to mention.
Me too. I forgot that.
Like, my favorite scene in that movie is all Mysterio's illusions when he's like, when he like sees Tony's graveyard and just that whole scene. That's my favorite part of the whole movie.
Yes, it's my favorite.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's really cool. That's like a really, really cool scene.
That's probably one of my favorite MCU scenes of all time, honestly.
Me
out of
too.
all of them.
It's very well done, and like
Super well
visually, it's just awesome to see.
And that's what I wanted. Like when I heard Mysterio was in it, I wanted a scene just like that.
Yeah.
And I was hoping to get more in like the last final fight, but we didn't too much. But it was good.
Yeah, I thought it was really clever and interesting, like how he shoots him, but he's actually like sitting across the other way, and he still grabs his hand and stuff. Like Peter grabs Mysterio's hand. I thought that
Yeah.
was all
Wait,
pretty.
how did Mysterio get shot from that? Or
I
what
think one of the
happened?
drones shot him first. I don't think the gun actually shot him. I think he
I
got
think
hit
it
by
was
one of the drones,
Yeah, that's what I thought.
and then I think he
Oh,
just.
okay. That always
died.
confuses.
But I doubt he died, man. I
I
don't
think
even
it's
think the
all an
drone shot would
illusion.
kill
I
him.
don't think he ever got shot.
Yeah, I don't think so either. He probably just gave Peter the glasses and somehow split, like somehow, some sort of illusion.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's all I had about the movies, but it was really nice talking with you, man.
Yeah, pleasure to be
Good
here.
to meet you and everything. I guess do you have any personal huge theories for Spider-Man 3, or are you just going by what you've been hearing, or anything you hope to see in Spider-Man 3? I mean, do you want to see Tobey and Andrew show up, or do you wish this was
Yes.
more of a Craven?
No, I want to see him show up. What I would like to see happen that I don't think they're going to do is I'd like to see them show up for small cameos and then do a true Spider-Verse film to where it's not specifically about Tom Holland's Peter Parker, but it's about an actual Spider-Verse. I think that would be really, really cool.
I think so too.
And I think that since this is Tom Holland's third movie and his third movie, I don't think it'll be primarily focused on Tobey and Andrew so much.
I sure hope so, yeah.
Yeah, I think they're going to be there. I think a lot of people are going to be there. I think some are going to be really, really quick cameos. But again, I think it's still going to be focused on Tom Holland taking on some of these different characters. Doctor Strange is going to be there helping him, also managing the whole, kind of multiverse part of that. He's going to help with that. But Peter Parker is still going to have to figure out his identity situation, right? He's going to have to clear that. And I think from there, we'll see people like Nick Fury step in because, I mean, the dude has connections, right? Not to mention like Happy and Pepper.
Yeah.
The dude has so many connections. I actually don't think that part's going to be that hard. I just think it'll be hard at first. So I think you're going to deal a little bit with that. But then I think we're going to start to deal with the threat of different realities coming in. And the immediate threat to him is going to be these different villains from these other Spider-Man universe. And that's where with them come the other Spider-Man as well. And that's going to be the immediate threat of the film. But the threat of what's happening as a whole is going to be, hey, our universes and our realities are kind of starting to get a little blurry and they're kind of starting to blend and mix with each other. And that's Doctor Strange's job, is protecting reality of their reality. So I think that's kind of really what it's going to be about.
Do you think Doctor Strange 2 will completely wrap up this whole Tobey Andrew thing or whatever, like this multiverse thing, or do you think he's just going to somehow solve it for a sec and then it re-explodes? Because
from what I've heard, specifically about Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, he is going to be in Doctor Strange 2, and he's going to play some role in helping the different realities. So what I think may happen is maybe somehow they get shoved into our reality, and to get back, they have to maybe fix some things first. So maybe it's easier for Andrew to go back to his reality, but it's a little bit more complicated for Tobey to go back to his. So he has to kind of help Doctor Strange in the next film. But I do think it'll wrap up the Spider-Man, Spider-Verse aspect to everything.
Interesting. And then you think Daredevil showing up or not? Matt Murdock?
I think Matt Murdock is showing up. I don't think
Not
Daredevil is showing up. Yeah.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
I hope so. What would be epic is if they did Matt Murdock and She-Hulk. He hires 2 lawyers.
He's got 2.
Both got 2 lawyers. Even though that won't happen, but that would be awesome to see.
Yeah. I think it's one of the 2 for sure. I think it's a missed opportunity if it's not one of the 2.
100%.
For sure. Yeah.
Cool. Well, we'll wrap it up there. Nice talking with you, man.
Yeah.
Everybody check out
Thanks for having me.
Cosmic Wonder, Cosmic Culture, Superhero Central. Check them all out. They're all good channels, all good stuff here. Check us out as well, the ELEET Review Podcast. And we'll see you guys all later.
All right.